Good morning, everybody. Now, welcome to the Maths Information Morning. Now, this is very different to what I'm used to. Normally, I've got a hall full of parents. It's very practical, very hands-on, and so obviously this is extremely different. So I'm just going to be reading through the slides today. The PowerPoint will be going on the website as well. So it's a two-part session. So today we'll be focusing on number and place value and how we teach maths in Brookland Infant School. And the next session will be on subtraction, addition, multiplication and division. So let's get going. So there's a big talk about catch-up, which we are actually trying to avoid. So we're avoiding talking of catch-up. With most pupils having missed more than 5 months of school, it is important not to speed through topics and cram in the curriculum coverage. We strongly believe that the key to getting our children's maths education back on track over the new academic year will be working with them sensitively through calm and focused teaching. We are prioritising the most fundamental maths topics to develop and reinforce key knowledge and ideas. This will increase the children's confidence and ensure new learning can be built on firm mathematical foundations. So during this half term, we've been focusing on securing the understanding of numbers. So for example, counting, number recognition, formation, so making sure they're forming the numbers correctly and not reversing them. Partitioning, splitting up those two-digit numbers, so understanding, for example, if you had 42, what does the 4 represent, what does the 2 represent? Then we'll be moving on to addition and subtraction. So really, before we move on, we're really getting them to have a really solid understanding about number and those calculations. So in Brooklands, we teach the Mastery Maths. Now, Mastery Maths is a belief that all pupils are capable of understanding and doing maths. So getting away from that, oh, I don't like maths, I'm not very good at maths. And unfortunately, a lot of this actually comes from parents and even me as well. I remember when, years ago, I used to say, oh, I wasn't very good at maths, I didn't enjoy maths at school. And it's amazing, I'm now the maths coordinator, which is quite ironic, but I absolutely love it. I love finding answers to everything and just seeing the children light up when they've got that answer. So pupils are neither born with the gene nor just no good at maths. With good teaching, resources, effort and a can-do attitude, all children can achieve in and enjoy maths. And we really, in every class, make sure that children understand that it's okay to make a mistake. That is how we learn. And they're really, really good at that already. Keep the class working together on the same topic whilst at the same time addressing the needs for all pupils to master the curriculum and for some to gain greater depth of the understanding. So we'll be teaching the same topic to all the children. They'll be all working on the same activity, but some children might need a bit of extension and some children will need a bit of support. So we'll be there to do that for them. Now, extension is not going and looking at bigger numbers, it's kind of looking at reasoning and problem solving. How do you know that? How did you get the answer? Can you explain? So like I said, challenge is provided by going deeper rather than accelerating into the new maths content. More time is spent on teaching topics to allow for development of depth and sufficient practice to embed learning. So we use lots of manipulatives, lots of resources to really help the children visualise those numbers. Carefully crafted lessons are designed to engage pupils in reasoning and support the development of mathematical thinking. Now that is the real concept that we're really looking at, is the reasoning and the mathematical thinking. That is how you extend those children. Now, every class have these posters and it just really gets the children really thinking about their maths. So for example, over here, we've got mastery questions. Can you draw it? Teach your friend. Prove that. Can you investigate? Are you able to show me that? Can you explain your reasoning? Why is that correct? How accurate is it? Explore. So there's just some ideas of some of the questions that we ask the children. And then here, I can master maths by explaining it, by drawing it, by showing it in different ways, and by teaching it to a friend. So we're just going to have a look at how mastery works in the early years. and looking at those objectives, those things that they need to cover by the end of foundation stage. So these are the end of year expectations for early years. So children count reliably with numbers from 1 to 20, place them in order and say which number is one more or one less than a given number. Using quantities and objects, they add and subtract two single-digit numbers and count on or back to find the answer. They solve problems, including doubling, halving, and sharing. And this is all done through hands-on activities, through play, inside and outside the classroom. So these are some of the key elements that they cover. So, like I said, if you can't see the slide very well, this will be going on the website. So the one-to-one principle. This involves children assigning one number name to each object that is being counted. So they're physically counting those objects and touching it, saying 1, 2, 3. Children need to ensure that they count each object only once, ensuring they have counted every object. And we would get them to organise themselves. So if you had lots of, say you had lots of cars in a, spread out on a table, you would get them to organise it, maybe putting it into a line to make it more easier for them to count. The stable order principle. Children understand when counting, the numbers have to be said in a certain order. So they know it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The cardinal principle. Children understand that the number name assigned to the final object in a group is the total number of the objects in that group. The abstraction principle. This involves children understanding that anything can be counted, including the things that cannot be touched, including sounds and movements, for example, jumps. We do a lot of close your eyes, we drop pennies into a pot, and they've got to count the sounds, the drops of the pennies that go into the pot, and they love that. Then the order irrelevance principle. This involves children understanding that the order we count a group of objects is irrelevant. There will still be the same number. So here are just some of the fun activities that we do in reception and nursery. Now again, the children just think they're playing, but actually there's lots and lots of learning going on. So for example here, they're learning about the numbers, so number formation. They're looking at the pneumicon and the shapes of pneumicon. So they're able to recognise straight away that this is a 4, this is a 5, this is a 3, and this will be done within sand, in water, just on the table. And here they're getting the pom-poms and placing them in the holes in the pneumicon, and then matching the number with the pneumicon. And we've got lots of other lovely ideas. We've got bean bags with the dots and the numbers. We've got numbers and dice. So lots and lots of lovely things. Here we've got dominoes, and we've got numbers on the pots, and they've got to place the dominoes. So they've got to add the numbers together on the dominoes and place them in the correct pot. Like I said, maths isn't just done inside, it's done outside as well, using our environment. This I love. This is literally simply putting a hoop on a group of daisies and counting how many daisies they can see. We've got some measuring going on and balance scales. Again, we've got the pneumicon and looking at capacity and pouring in water into the jugs. And then here we've got looking beginning stages of looking at shapes and looking at the corners and the sides. Maths is amazing through story. Now there are so many books out there that are based on maths. Lots and lots of counting, lots of number recognition. So we use lots and lots of stories, and I will put out a list of some really good books that would support the maths at home as well. So how can you support your child at home? We get asked this a lot. Now, just going back to those simple things is just amazing. So play games using a dice and learn to move a counter around a board. Now this sounds really straightforward, but it really isn't. The amount of children that really struggle later on when they're adding using a number line is incredible. So they've got to, for example, if they throw so we're on 64. If they throw a 3, they've got to understand that they need to jump off that number. So they're going 1, 2, 3. Okay, because some children, they literally just go 1, 2, 3. So they stay on the actual number. So they need to learn that they're like a little frog and they're jumping off the lily pad. 1, 2, 3. And we do lots of that outside in the playground, on the floor, where we do number lines and they're physically jumping. So they're really understanding that they're jumping off that number, because then that leads on to when they get into year 1 that they're able to use a number line correctly. Encourage children to set the table. That's a brilliant one. So how many family members do we have? How many plates do we need? How many forks, knives, glasses, etc.? Spot numbers in the environment, looking at your clock. That's a great one, beginning to learn the time. Looking at all those numbers, how many numbers are on a clock. Looking at buses, door numbers, looking at even and odd numbers. Number plates on cars, make it a game, make it fun. Deliberately making mistakes. Children absolutely love this. So when you're counting, you might want to miss out a number, then the children will laugh and then they'll try and correct you. Or you might muddle up the numbers when you're counting. Watching number blocks and number jacks on CBeebies are great because they really do actually support the mastery teaching. Write a list and play go shopping with real money. Cooking is another amazing one because you're looking at capacity, weighing, lots of numbers involved. Play outdoor games, so for example, hopscotch, skittles. Let your children make up their own games. Read books, like I said, with maths concepts. And the Oxford OWL website, which is here, they've got some really lovely online games, but also there's some there's some worksheets that you can actually print out as well. So these are just some ideas that will help you. So, welcome to Key Stage 1. So Key Stage 1 is year 1 and year 2. So these are the objectives that year 1 need to be able to cover by the end of their academic year. Again, this is on the website, it's very difficult to see here, but as you can see, there's quite a lot to get through. And equally, there's a lot for year 2. So, just going to have a look at the number and place value objectives. This is for year 1. Count to and across 100, forwards and backwards, beginning with 0 or 1, or from any given number. Identify and represent numbers using objects and pictorial representations, including the number line, and use the correct language. Now that is so important. When we're teaching, we have a topic wall and it has all the words for that topic. So for example, if we're teaching division, it will have all those words to support division. So encouraging those children to use the correct vocabulary, and we always get them to answer in full sentences, which I'll talk about in a moment. Partition numbers into tens and ones. Read and write numbers from 1 to 20 in numerals and in words. Now I think they introduced that because we realised a few years ago that the new coins that were being made, they actually no longer have the numbers, they just have the words. So the children, when they're recognising coins, not only do they need to recognise the colour and the shape, they need to be able to read the words as well. Moving on to year 2, compare and order numbers from 0 to 100 using the more than, less than and equal signs. Read and write numbers to at least 100 in numerals and in words. Use place value and number facts to solve problems. Recognise the place value of each digit in a 2-digit numbers, so looking at tens and ones. Now, like I said, we use loads and loads of manipulatives to support and enhance our maths, just to really get the children to really visualize and really understand that number. It's so important, and it just makes maths fun. They absolutely love maths, and it's incredible over the years the amount of children that really do enjoy maths now, which is fantastic. They feel safe, they feel happy, they feel, sometimes they go, "Whoa, was that a maths lesson?" So it's just brilliant. So we've got lots of these resources. We use a lot of Numicon. We use lots of bead strings. We've also got Deans, and we've got cubes, and we've also got number lines. So we use these in our teaching all of the time. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use Deans to actually make a 2-digit number. So we would tell the children 45. What does that mean? What can you tell me about 45? And can you show me? Can you make it? Can you draw it? All those kind of things. So we would use Deans. So we would literally The children understand that these are 10. So you would get, so I need 4 10s and I would need 5 1s. So that is 45. And you would do this with each number, moving on to slightly higher numbers with some of the children, just to help them visualize it. Now we use a lot of part-whole models, so we call them part-part-whole. So for example, you will have the total up here, and the 2 parts have to equal the total. So this number has been partitioned, so we know that the 5 represents 50, the 9 is 9. Here we've got representations, so we've got 20, and then straight away they should know that that shape is 9, so we've got 29. And here we've got 31. So using different pictures, different representations. Again, complete the part-whole model. We've got 37, there's some numbers missing, so we've got 20 there, so they need to know that they need to put another 10 there, and then 7. So looking at partitioning it in a different way, that it doesn't just have to be a 30 and a 7. So it could be a 10 here, and then a 27 there. We've got 92, so we've got 60, so they need to know that they need to put a 32 there to make it 92. This one, we've got 50, so they need to know that they need to make it into have a 42 to make it 92. Like I said earlier on, we use stem sentences. Now this is really, really important for the children, not to just shout out the answer. They need to say it in a full sentence because it really embeds their understanding. But it also supports maybe those children that have got English as an additional language, or those children that aren't quite sure. But over time, through saying these sentences, it starts to sink in, and it's really, really good. So for example, they would need to say, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 10s and 2 1s. There are 62 altogether. Here, there are 3 bundles of 10 sticks and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 1s. There are 36 sticks altogether. Again, you provide the sentence and you just get them to repeat it back. So again, these are what we call tens frames, so they already know that these equal 10. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So there are 6 lots of 10s and 2, 4, 6, 8 and 8 1s. There are 68 altogether. And as you can see, I'm showing you lots of different pictures, and this really, really helps those children really, really embed those numbers. So here is a part of a bead string. Complete the sentence. Again, the children have had lots and lots of practice using bead strings. They're in the reception. We have them in year 1. So for example, we know that that's 10, 20. So there are 2 10s and 3 1s. The number is 23. Then you would ask the children, could you represent 45 on a bead string? So there they have, they make sure that they push the beads all the way down, and they know that each colour represents 10. So you literally go 10, 20, 30, 40, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 45. And the children get lots of practice to do this. Again, we've got lots of representations. What numbers are represented below? So for example, this is 10 and 2, so it's a 12. This one is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 54. And this one is 15. You get them to write the number and the word as well. Normally, you would be doing this on whiteboards. So then we would do some problem solving. So each bag contains 10 cookies. How many cookies are there altogether? You get them to write their answer and in numerals and in words. This is why, by doing this, this is when they really understand that if they reverse their digits, the number is a completely different number. So for example, if you wrote 18 instead of 81, they can really see that that's not the right number and it's got a different quantity. What we also do is we try and get them to explain. So we'll show something that isn't correct and they've got to explain why it isn't correct. So for example, Tom says he has 61. Is he correct? Explain your reasoning. You'd get them to talk to a partner. Why isn't that 61? Explain. And clearly here, they've used 6 ones and 1 10. So they've actually only made 16 instead of 61. So really understanding about the reversal of the digits. Then we'll show an odd one out. One of these images does not show 23. Can you explain the mistake? So again, they'll look at the representations and hopefully they'll recognise that this is actually 32. So this is the odd one out because they've used 3 10s and 1 2. So what things could you do to help at home? So please, can you use the correct vocabulary as much as you can? So using like 10s and 1s. The children should be really good at that because they're obviously doing it at school a lot. I'm thinking of a number. It has 3 10s and 4 1s. What am I thinking of? Describe a 2-digit number and the other person guesses the number. That's a really good one. And also use money to explain 10s and 1s. So for example, you could make 36 using 3 10p's and 6 1p's. Here we go. Right, children love high numbers, but can they write 423? Now, the amount of times that children want to go on to those high numbers, it's incredible to see how they actually write the numbers. And this shows that they're not quite ready to move on. So we've got 423 in lots of different ways. So they're realizing that actually we need 4 100s, 2 10s and 3 1s. And that's when we use the hundreds, 10s and 1s. So these are just some of the things that you can do. And like I said, doing the time, that's a really good thing to do. Get them a watch, make it purposeful, make it meaningful for them. Go shopping, which is a bit tricky at the moment, but like do shops at home, write shopping lists, all those kind of things that I said, what you do in reception, you can do for year 1 and year 2. Now, we've got these books. We've got Key Stage 1 Maths workout for year 2. We've got workout for year 1, and we've got a times table practice book. Now, in year 4, they are now doing an online times table test. So we are doing a lot of recall in multiplication. So by the end of year 2, they should know how to count in 2s, 5s, 10s, and 3s. Like I said, I'll be talking about that in the next session. But these are some really, really good books that we're actually selling. They're £3, but if you bought them in the shop, they are actually, I think they are, yeah, they're about £3.50. So you're actually saving some money if you buy through the school, and then some of the money goes, well, all the money goes to the school. So we've got Key Stage 1 Year 1. These are great books because they kind of support what we're doing at school. So they're really, really helpful, and it's helpful for you to know what you need to do and how you can support your children. These are available, so if you'd like to buy them, all you need to do is put the exact money in an envelope and just put a note in which book that you would like to buy. We need the exact change because we can't give you any change, so we need the exact money. So just put it in an envelope with a note with the exact amount of money and just telling us which book you would like to buy, and then the teacher will, at the end of the day, will then give you the child the book. So these are really, really, really helpful, and yes, they're great. But thank you for listening. It was very different. Like I said, I will be doing an addition, subtraction, multiplication and division one next time, where I'll be showing you the strategies that we actually use in school. Okay, have a lovely day. Bye.